G'day diggers, Bruce's and Sheila's. I'm back from Australia and we've got a lot to catch up on. First of all, the hat, my Crocodile Dundee hat, that is genuine crocodile skin with crocodile teeth on here. Alright, I've got a few clutches to show you guys, the first of which hatched while I was away, no help needed from me. It is a Pastave vanilla female to an Orange Dream yellow belly. This combination has 5 genes and it has Orange Dream and yellow belly, which can often be difficult to tell apart. In combination, it's sometimes hard to see whether you've got Orange Dream or yellow belly. So let's have a look at the clutch, let's have a bash at IDing them, and you guys can be my second opinion. I will get a second and third opinion on these snakes. I think for the most part I have it right, but you guys let me know what you think. There's some awesome combos in here, and we have the advantage of a second clutch in a follow-up video, which is a similar female but incorporating spot nose, and she was paired to the same male. So I have had the advantage of being able to see this second clutch. You guys will have to wait for the follow-on video. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Let's take a look. Hi guys, we had a clutch hatch while I was away on holiday. So this clutch number 5, is a pastel Mojave vanilla female to an Orange Dream yellow belly, and there are some really nice babies in this clutch. Let me just give you a sneak peek here, if I can pull them all apart before we start to try and identify these. There are 8 snakes in here. Let me just show you the bundle here. We've got quite a variety of snakes in here. So as usual, we're going to start with the parents, and this is an Orange Dream yellow belly. This is the male. You can see that he does have the blushed out head stamp. You see the diamond shape with the dot in the middle. That's from yellow belly and Orange Dream. And this guy has some awesome train tracks characteristic of Orange Dream. He is very orange, the contrast is quite strong. Orange Dream typically gives a banded snake, very Enchi like. You can see the banding here. The colour is quite orange, but it is ramped up by the yellow belly, the typical yellow belly flaming up the sides and the digital markings on the belly. So that's Dad, Orange Dream yellow belly, and he is quite a nice one, very bright. And here is Mum. She is a pastel Mojave or Pastave vanilla. You can see her colour is nice and creamy from the vanilla. She is pastel. The blushed out head stamp. And if I can get her to keep still for you, you can see she has white lips, which is characteristic of pastel. Mojave, of course, gives these nice teardrops down the side. You see these dripping teardrops, these alien heads here, and they're all quite regular. So Mojave is very easy to recognize. You see there's a single keyhole in each of the alien heads. Again, that is very characteristic of Mojave. So that's what we're looking for in Mojave, is these single keyhole alien heads, very, very regular, quite reminiscent actually of spot nose. I always think Mojave and spot nose, although they're in a different complex entirely, look quite similar. Very regular teardrop alien heads, and you can see that she has quite a strong banding in the tail, in the lower third of her body, and the alien heads become slightly amalgamated towards the base, and Vanilla is doing that. That's a modification that Vanilla makes to pattern as well as colour. So that's the female, and we will come back and compare some of the babies to both the male and the female and some previous offspring in order to make identification easier. We're also going to use Morph Market. Caution, some snakes on Morph Market are misidentified, so do spend some time going through and looking at pictures of your own babies when you compare them to Morph Market. See if you can find a good match. We know what genes are involved because we made these babies, so it's easy to get a theoretical ID because we know the genes involved. Okay, so as usual, I have a spare tub with a lid to put snakes into once we've identified them. When I pull them out and we start to look at them and poke and pull at them, we're going to have a limited window before they start freaking out and running all over the place. I tend to put snakes that I've identified in here. So I do keep the snakes all together. Once I've identified them, I put them in here so that they can't escape. I just want to talk a little bit about the process or the system that I employ for identifying hatchlings. This is not foolproof, but it does help a lot. So on the top we have the dam, who is Pastel Vanilla Mojave, and we have the sire, who is OD Yellow Belly. So I've identified each of the genes. We have 8 snakes to identify, so I've left 8 vacant slots here for us to identify the snakes, and each of the genes is listed here. So every time a gene occurs in one of the offspring, I'm going to put a tick next to each of the genes. These are all incomplete dominant genes and should show up about 50% of the time. Not foolproof, but what this does is to stop you from identifying Orange Dream in everything or Yellow Belly in everything. So somewhere around 3, 4 or 5 of the snakes should contain each of these genes. So we're going to use this sheet today in our identification process, and I've cheated a bit because what I've done yesterday is I've already gone through and had a first pass at identifying the snakes and a first pass at the number of genes that are present, and I got it roughly right. I then rested for half a day and went back and had another look, and I did make one small correction to number 3. I added a gene to number 3 on reflection, and that is reflected in the gene count. This is now going to be my 3rd run through of this clutch using this process. Alright, so as usual we're going to let our eyes do the work, and we're going to have to pull these snakes apart here to get at them. Let's see if I can split them all up. Give you a good look at these guys. And the first thing that strikes me here is that we have teardrop alien heads. We have teardrop alien heads in this snake. So this has Mojave. We have teardrop alien heads in this snake. This has Mojave. And we have teardrop alien heads in this snake, so this is another Mojave. So we have 3 Mojaves that stand out from the rest. Let me pull those apart because we're going to come back to those later. So I'll put those away into my tub so we can look at the other ones. Alright, so we have 5 snakes here, and you can see immediately that these 3 snakes here are banded. Let me just pull one out and I can show you what I mean by that. So this snake here is quite banded versus this one here, which has quite a busy alien head pattern and is not banded. Okay, so if I pull out the 3 snakes which are banded, banding is characteristic of Orange Dream. These 3 snakes have Orange Dream in them. This guy here is none of those, and despite the fact that there are 5 genes in this pairing, this is our obligatory normal. There is no flaming up the sides indicating yellow belly, no digital belly markers, and no train tracks at the back. The head stamp is a typical normal, so this guy is our obligatory normal. So on my sheet I've written down number 1 is a normal. This second snake here has the blushed out head stamp of a pastel, and you can see that it is brighter, much brighter than the normal, and you'll see that pastel is also a pattern changer. Not only does it brighten things up, but it gives quite a busy alien head pattern. So this is pastel, and pastel tends to wipe out belly markers, but look at those flames up the side. This has more flaming than any pastel I have ever seen. And yes, we are getting some digital edge markings. So I am going to say that this little guy here is a pastel yellow belly. So on my sheet I write down number 2, pastel yellow belly, and I tick off pastel and yellow belly in my gene count. Now the next 3 snakes up are these striped ones, and I've already said for you guys that haven't realised yet, Orange Dream doesn't just make your snakes orange. Orange Dream is also a very strong pattern influencer, and the pattern looks very reminiscent of Enchi. Snakes are often misidentified as Super Enchi, when in actual fact they're just a single copy of Enchi with Orange Dream enhancing the stripiness. So, of the 3 snakes here, this is the most orange. This is a creamier orange, and this is a much lighter coloured orange. So let's start off with this one. So if you look at the head stamp on this, it does have a slightly blushed head stamp, but I think you can see the dot in the middle, fairly typical of Orange Dream. The pattern is very strongly banded, but look at those flames up the side. If we compare the flaming on this one to the pastel that doesn't have Orange Dream in it, the flaming on the sides, if I can get them to do this for me, just look at the similarity in flaming up the sides of each of these snakes. So this one is Orange Dream Yellow Belly, this one is just like Dad, so let's pull Dad out and just compare him to Dad. So here we go, here's Dad, and you can see the head stamp. The head stamp on these 2 guys is identical. If you look at the pattern, the banding on these 2 snakes is identical. The little stripe on the tail is identical. Dad has the belly markers with the train tracks. And this guy also has the belly markers with the train tracks. So Dad is Orange Dream Yellow Belly, and this is also Orange Dream Yellow Belly. So on my sheet, number 3, Orange Dream Yellow Belly, and I've ticked off Orange Dream and Yellow Belly on my gene count. So let's bring out the next snake, and you'll see that the head stamp on this next one is quite a bit lighter than the Orange Dream Yellow Belly, and it's vanilla that's doing that. If we look at the sides of this snake, there is none of that flaming up the sides, but we do get the really strong train tracks of Orange Dream. So here what we've done is taken the yellow belly and replaced it with vanilla. So this is Orange Dream Yellow Belly, and this is Orange Dream Vanilla. Vanilla is enhancing the stripiness of the Orange Dream. Vanilla is also extending out the pattern in the back third of the snake. So this one, Orange Dream Vanilla. So on my sheet I mark Orange Dream Vanilla, and I've put a tick in vanilla and a tick in Orange Dream on my gene count. So what happens if we take this Orange Dream Vanilla and add pastel to it? Well, you can see immediately that we make the snake lighter coloured. We start to put some of that pattern back into the snake. We've blushed out the head stamp. You can see in comparison to the straight pastel that the pastel vanilla is lighter. Pastel vanilla gives a much whiter head stamp. And again, if we look at the snake from the side, you can see really strong train tracks on the belly of this snake. So this is Orange Dream. The banded pattern on this snake is also a dead giveaway. So the head stamp tells me pastel vanilla, the creamy colour tells me pastel vanilla, and the banding and train tracks tell me Orange Dream. So what we've done is taken our Orange Dream Vanilla and added pastel to make pastel Orange Dream Vanilla. So on my sheet, pastel OD Vanilla, and on my gene count I've ticked off one more pastel, one more vanilla, and one more Orange Dream. So we have 3 snakes left to go. They were the ones that I separated out initially. All 3 of those are Mojave. Okay, so the remaining 3 snakes in this clutch, this is the brightest one. This one has a very similar head stamp. They both have the Mojave Orange Dream head stamp. This one has a white head stamp, which is pastel vanilla, and you can see that this one is quite light. It is pastel. All 3 of these are Mojave. We can see from the floating alien heads with the single keyhole. Let's have a look at this one first. So this one is pastel vanilla Mojave, and it has some quite nice flaming up the sides and this orangey colour, but I'm not seeing any train tracks here. So I think this guy, when you look at the colour, it is a little bit orangey, but nowhere near as orange as this one. So this one I'm saying is pastel vanilla, Mojave Yellow Belly, no Orange Dream in this guy. Okay, so on my sheet, pastel Mojave Vanilla Yellow Belly, and on my gene count, pastel vanilla Mojave Yellow Belly ticked off. Now these two snakes are actually quite a similar colour, but the pattern on this guy here is much less affected than the pattern on this one. If we look at the head stamps, the head stamps are almost identical. We also have a much stronger dorsal stripe on this one. So these two are both Mojave Vanilla. Both of them have Orange Dream. We can see the orange colour in them. But this guy here with the strong dorsal stripe and the much more orange colour is also Yellow Belly. So these two snakes are identical, apart from this one is missing Yellow Belly. You can see the very strong train tracks, but also the high white sides from Mojave. So this is Mojave Orange Dream. You can also see the Mojave alien heads running into each other. This one, much stronger dorsal stripe. Yellow Belly is part of the super stripe complex, so we expect wherever we see Yellow Belly we're going to get a much stronger dorsal stripe. So the previous one was probably missing Yellow Belly. Again, we can see the high white sides from Mojave. The pattern modification is due to Orange Dream, and this one with the really high contrast is Orange Dream Yellow Belly combined, giving that brightness and higher contrast. As opposed to this guy that doesn't have the dorsal stripe and not quite the same contrast, but has exactly the same head stamp. So this one is missing the Yellow Belly from the Orange Dream Yellow Belly combo. Alright, so let's write that down. So on my sheet, number 7 is Mojave Vanilla Orange Dream, and number 8 is Mojave Vanilla Orange Dream Yellow Belly. This one is the full house less pastel. So on my gene count, I've put 2 additional copies of Mojave, 2 additional copies of Vanilla, 2 additional copies of Orange Dream, and 1 additional copy of Yellow Belly. So what do we have? We have pastel in 3 of the snakes, we have vanilla in 5 of the snakes, we have Mojave in 3 of the snakes, Orange Dream in 5 of the snakes, and Yellow Belly in 4. So given that each of these are incomplete dominant and should occur 50% of the time, somewhere around 4. So nothing stands out as being completely out of whack. Nothing stands out as being me identifying a particular gene in every single snake. Pastel occurs just less than half the time, vanilla occurs just over half the time, Mojave occurs just under half the time, Orange Dream just over half the time, and Yellow Belly exactly half the time. So this method, whilst not foolproof, does force you to go in and have a second look if some of the genes are out of whack. Okay, so we've got them all set up individually, and I have sexed them all. We got 3 males and 5 females in this clutch, which is nice. So the normal is a male, the pastel Yellow Belly is a female, the Orange Dream Yellow Belly is a female, which is nice. Orange Dream Vanilla is also a female. The pastel Orange Dream Vanilla is a male. The pastel Mojave Vanilla Yellow Belly is a female. The Mojave Vanilla Orange Dream is a male. And the Mojave Vanilla Orange Dream Yellow Belly, the best snake from the clutch, is a female. There we go. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will be putting out a video on my Australia trip for those of you that are interested. I've got some awesome footage of crocodiles and of course fishing on the Ord where we caught a ton of barramundi. So watch out for that. There won't be any snakes in it, but there will be some reptiles. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.